great. And I guess he saw something in me. I was kind of, and I still am, I guess, obsessed with my craft as well. And he had a famous quote that he said years ago that if you're as obsessed with what you do as what I do, we don't speak the same language. We did speak the same language for a long time, and I got to know him and his young family. I met Vanessa, like everyone else did, the night they won their first championship, and then daughters were being born, and man, I was there for pretty much every accomplishment that he had on the court.
It's for folks who followed basketball for a long time, the LA Lakers, not just a basketball team, they're royalty in sports. And Kobe Bryant, if Magic was the king, then Kobe was certainly the prince. Guys.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Andrew if I could. You saw him as a young man. You saw him as a guy who had moved into his adulthood. We all change, but what was the constant about Kobe Bryant?
His work ethic from day one. He literally, from the first practice I saw him to the last practice, and 20 years in between, he just approached every single day like it was the first day. And coming back from that horrific injury that he had with Achilles in 2013, a lot of guys might have hung it up at that point. He won 5 championships, Hall of Famer, of course, first ballot, gold medals. But, he said at the time, and he continued to say, that an injury wasn't going to define when he ended his career. And, we saw that Hollywood ending at the end with him scoring 60 points. So that just speaks to his tremendous work ethic and his determination and relentless pursuit of being as great as he could possibly be.
Andrew, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Lakers Clippers set to tip off here by the way on Tuesday. Should be quite the emotional game. And by the way, we have of course spent a great deal of time this morning talking about Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter. But let's not forget there were 7 other people on that helicopter. Lives all cut. Far too short, guys.
Right, yeah, and their family's grief no less palpable than those of Kobe Bryant and his family. So, guys, thank you so very much. Just ahead, we're going to hear from a veteran NBA reporter who was there from the very start of Kobe's career. We'll be right back.
I saw a really bright young man, and when I say bright, I mean it in all the ways. Intellectually, his personality, his outgoingness. And I know that for a lot of fans, especially those who may have become more aware of him in the mid-2000s during the Mamba phase, I knew him pre-Mamba, and before that, he didn't have that hard edge. He wasn't quite so steeled. He was 19 when I first met him, his second season, and there was just this warmth about him, and he was engaging. He was curious. He loved the back and forth with us in the media. That can go astray eventually, and it did, and we had our moments. But overall, he appreciated it, and he wanted those conversations. He loved the back and forth. He was as curious, I think, about what we were doing, asking, writing, as we were about exploring who he was becoming.
What I appreciate about him is, listen, he hit some bumps on the road there for a second. For his ability to be able to push through that, and to be able to see him as such a great father, husband, like I mentioned to these guys, learning about him, and then with his daughter, it was like a 1-2 punch, because I feel like he was just getting started with this new chapter.
Yeah, that was, the whole day was hard, right? And I think the more we learned and when we found out about GiGi, that was the hardest part. And to know Kobe, to get to know him as a basketball player, as a rising star from 19 through his 20s and everything, you saw how driven he was, the passion he had, and how invested he was in the game. And that can sometimes just be what you do for your profession, right? But when you saw as Kobe's family grew and his daughters all came along, and then even in his post NBA career with the media empire that he was building, and the children's books and the films, he put everything into that in the same way. He was just as passionate about his family, about his daughters, as he was about the game.
He was, by the way, a great advocate for the WNBA too, because of his daughters. He told a couple of different interviewers when people come up to him and say, "You've got to have a son to continue your legacy." He said, "No, I don't. My legacy's right here. These 4 girls." And GiGi was a great player, but as someone who watched him from the beginning, he set an impossible standard for himself, which was to be as great or greater than his hero, Michael Jordan. And you know, because you were around him, he walked like Michael, he talked like Michael in interviews, he had the same fadeaway as Michael Jordan. And my gosh, I never thought anybody would reach Michael Jordan's greatness, but Kobe came about as close as you can come.
As close as you can come. I did a story a couple of years ago about the ghost of Jordan and how that had haunted an entire generation of players, and Kobe was the one heir to Jordan who was never, scared of that. He was not intimidated by it. He embraced it, and he sometimes, resisted all this stuff about like, oh, you sound like you was back early in his career, but by the end, and by the time his career was over, he told me a couple of years ago. He says, "Yeah, I damn near stole all his moves." I mean, it's uncanny. There's videos on Twitter now. You can see where it's showing Michael doing something, Kobe doing it,
yes,
back and forth. And, like, he stole it all, but he did it perfectly. Not everybody can even pull that off. He was never daunted by that.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Well, I think we're just beginning to assess what his legacy is going to be, and the legacy of all those folks who lost their lives in that chopper crash. It's something we'll continue to talk about. All right, Howard, thank you so much. Willie, thanks for taking the time to help us.
My pleasure, guys.
And we'll be right back.
Mamba out.